It's gonna be one of my first attempts at one of these. I got a whole script lined up thing here, so we'll see where it ends. Right? I'm wondering if I should edit it or just keep in the natural pauses. I'm trying to decide that with the one that's coming up. That's already been here by the time this is uploaded. Title of the video. We're gonna break this down very, very far and just take it from there. I'm gonna tell you a couple of things. I'm gonna make you feel something, and then hopefully by the end of this, you feel like you've invested some time in somebody that actually gives it. Darn. I want to talk first about the role of content creators as teachers. In the digital landscape, everything that we formed as opinions are generally thrust around upon the American public from people who are supposed to have authority in our lives and are supposed to be taking care of us, i.e., at some point or another, the police, your parents, the law, the government, big things, your state representative, your. And I started thinking to myself, what could I find as a level comparison between what most content creators do now? And when I say most content creators, I mean the most popular thing in the world right now is a podcast. So in one way or another, you're still doing the same thing you were doing as a kid, sitting down and listening to somebody else explain or express a concept to you, and then maybe you would go out and practice that, whether it be niceness. I'm not talking about them like who murdered podcasts. What you talk about these things, it almost feels like the lunchtime break you get if you spend it with friends. It almost feels exactly like a school day. I will be making many more comparisons like that throughout this time and place, but it'll get a lot deeper. So I just want you to stick with that as the first motif that we're going to work with today. Creators guide their audiences through all types of different information and experiences. And those experiences will reveal sometime or another personal weaknesses, personal soft spots that you have for things that you have been through. And in this day and age, sadly enough, even if you're like the best gamer in the world, somebody's still gonna ask you about a news event or ask you for advice on something. And it will show through the way you respond, how you deal with those situations outside of being on a camera. And with live streaming especially, it becomes a cornerstone of why people invest their time and effort into anybody who's doing anything like this. It is the most popular medium, and being able to respond in real time to a concern or query that you might have about what you're listening to might give you further insight into why you should believe that. With that being said, I don't think content creators realize that they are becoming those same safe havens, those same places where people will sit down and involve themselves with whatever's going on in your life, whatever you decide to put out, even if it's just reacting to TikToks or my community bingo or I did this amazing combo. You're still providing comfort and solace in a place that's very loud, noisy, and distracting. And when you provide a space like that, you will naturally get what we call a parasocial relationship. There is a pun with that goes with the paradigm shift. Do with that as you must. But analyzing parasocial relationships on a surface level is just because the pandemic happened, and I'm not really comfortable explaining to y'all how hard it was for anybody to sit up here and talk on a camera, let alone the millions of people who, oh, you got your Zoom, we're gonna need to see your camera. We're gonna need everybody's cameras on. Can't even be naked in my own crib because you want my camera on. Type B. At the rise of that comes people who have already dedicated their lives to entertainment. Remember John Krasinski and Some Good News? Where the hell did that go? Well, we know he sold it off. Do you ever watch it anymore? Do you ever care? Are you kind of just out and about now? If I keep throwing things at you like a teacher who keeps telling you every day, this is new, this is new, this is new, homework, 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 homework. As a kid, you might feel compelled to just do it because that teacher is authority and your parents are sending you there for a reason, right? To learn. Or I could tell you that you've just adapted that same lifestyle into what happens now. And content creators became your teachers, for lack of a better term. Just far enough away from you to not be a therapist, but always be right in the corner of the room when you don't get something. You can always trust that you can ask them for something. Does that not feel familiar at all? When this type of relationship develops without any core understandings beyond an explosion in popularity, you get something called resonant emotion. Resonant emotions are how people who are dealing with a lot of things per day, i.e., you might be dealing with abuse at home, a shitty job, when the things start piling up, they look to people who won't harm them to help them navigate their emotions. They look to you for inspiration in how you tackle everyday challenges. It is obviously a problem that this occurs because the majority of people who are being watched are not. I would love to say I think that the more popular you are, the more removed you are from your situations that may have affected you permanently, temporarily, changed something about you. So your response to certain situations makes them feel like that's the correct response to certain situations. And it puts another burden of responsibility that I think nobody wants to have because it comes with the implication that you can change people's lives. This resonant content, this educational or emotionally resonant content, has been known quite literally all over media. The classic phrase, I listened to your music and it saved my life. Do you think you as a live streamer or a YouTuber or an Instagrammer, do you think you have that effect on people based on what you do? If you say no, then you're not doing this for the correct reason, whether it's working or not. Whether it's working or not, you're not doing this for the correct reason. Because you don't realize that you and your entertainment value, whether it be, John Oliver telling me the world sucks for 25 minutes, or the Cody Shouty telling me the world sucks for an hour and a half, 3 hours sometimes, never letting you go, never letting that Jordan Peterson video go ever, Cody, letting you know that. This is direct from, I got people who represent Warmbo. I know what I'm talking about. Little things like that you bring up in the middle of your coffee cafe conversations with other people, and you realize, oh shit, you're not online like I am. Well, what's going on in your life? But we all know we've heard that. I heard your music and it saved my life. Why can't this be held to the same standard? Are you afraid that because you're popular and you hear this, it triggers some type of distancing from responsibility? I'm just an idiot on the internet. I just like video games. I just draw. Sorry. That is an expected onus of anybody who shares anything with anybody. And I know that for a fact because I have people in my life and out of my life that have tattoos of my lyrics on them. I'm not big in any shape or form. I'm a small poet from a small town known as New York City. I still had an impact. An impact that, like, I've watched superstars have. Is my work as valuable to that person as Taylor Swift's is to one of her fans? Can we measure that? Should we measure that? Obviously you don't. So you look to the internet for other people's experiences and you find these two experiences, and because there's no frame of reference, because it's brand new and the algorithm just gave it to you, boom. You're immediately responsible whether you want to or not. But why should you hang on that responsibility? Part 2. People seek comfort in what they watch. There's a reason why people do reruns of Friends and throw on old TV shows. I need noise in the background. It's too quiet. I used to wonder, like, how do people sit in a quiet room and just sit there doing nothing? Like, you just not reading a book, not consuming nothing, just not writing anything, just sitting there. Didn't even make yourself a cup of tea. And then I realized people use content in the same way as a source of comfort. Just like we use books, music, movies, we escape and reflect on those. And without any traditional framework, yet again, people will naturally adapt to thinking that you yourself, are the exact same. People will think that you are the exact same methodology of communication as friends, as cheers, as home improvement. I'm just naming shit. As Jackie Chan's adventures. You're still their emotional anchor. Especially when you, as the creator, get emotional. You get yourself into some drama. You get yourself into some tit for tat. You get yourself into, I gotta respond on this. The day you decide to open your mouth and say, I have seen what's going on in Gaza, hopefully, and I can't stand by it. You are your audience's emotional anchor, and the more of them you have, the more things you can affect. And that's why people gravitate towards certain content creators or forms of media, because they're weighing that as a proper representation of, this allows me to feel just a little bit more outside of myself. I can become something I never fathomed I could become, and then I'll have something to talk about during them during them cafe. Oh, Jesus, I'm messing it all up. During those coffee cafe sessions. And because of that, there's a little bit more than just an anchor that's being thrown out to the ocean and hoping that a ship just happens to say, we're going. People automatically feel validated and understood when their media reflects their emotional thought process. Things that challenge their worldview they don't like, especially in live stream and YouTube format, because they can't curate it going that way. They can't tell them, hey, I wanted to watch this. You're on for the ride. So that validation, when you echo their thoughts, beliefs, feelings, works to enhance the relationship and make them indebted to you for saying, thank you for making me feel like I'm not alone. Think about how big comfort content got. Remember all the cozy gaming streams and the nostalgic movie reviews? All the people doing retros on the TikTok. Oh, I'm playing this old game. You know, everybody's playing Tekken 8. I'm playing Tekken 3. You see like 100 people there and you're like, damn, we all watching this together? Why are we watching this? Because it makes you feel like, yeah, I remember that. That's cool. I could stick here for a little bit. I could watch that. And then you end up watching it and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And you realize when you're watching something that it kind of evaporates very quickly to a point where it all becomes one big muddled mess of, I watched a total of 6 hours of other people's content today on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and all that combined. And then there's no point to reflect. There's no exit essay. There's no do your homework on what the author meant. Nah, it's just go about your day. You probably was listening to them while you was at work. You probably don't think this deeply about the content you consume, especially if it's quote unquote safe. What do I have to engage with if Mr. Beast is making videos? Well, everything going on with Mr. Beast, so you can't escape it whether you want to or not. And if your teacher was ever caught doing some shit like that, you'd be like, yo, what the fuck? They ain't send his ass to the rubber room? Back to the point. Remember that thing I mentioned about how it all becomes one solid block of noise? Well, we have to talk about another part of how content creation, I guess, saves lives. The quick consumption and genuine beliefs argument. The tension between fast-paced, low-substance, AI slop, AI content. Did you see? Come on, how many times you don't seen that Anthony Starr ad for Last War or whatever it is, Last Survive, whatever the fuck he promoting? How fast you were like, yo, why he got him on the ads? You really think after watching 30-second to 2-minute videos, very quick and very easy to access, somebody's going to be able to sit down and say, let me grab my cup of coffee and listen to this dude for 40 minutes, listen to this girl for 40 minutes, listen to this person for 40 minutes, unless they had a genuine reason or connection that was already established, if that were the case, a lot of the things that have been happening as of late wouldn't be happening. With that idea of quick consumption, you start to listen to people and hope that they get to the point very fast. You don't want to have a conversation that builds up to that degree of, hey, okay, I understand, I get it, I know what's going on, it happened, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. You don't want to have that, I want to say, neutered understanding of the gravitas between the world and what it is and what it's not. But you feel it. You feel it every day. It just goes faster and faster and faster. With that cycle of quick consumption, everybody loses touch with what truly matters to them because they're looking for that conversation to be over in 30 seconds. You don't have empathy? I don't want to hear it. You don't have a quick answer to these questions? I don't want to hear it. And you might say, well, Paradigm, how do you know that? Not exactly an online person here. And when you lose touch with what truly matters to you, you don't know you're losing it because you've got other shit to deal with. And we all know, oh my God, it's called being an adult, but like, what does adulthood really mean based on the generations that have come before us and what the American, yeah, like 9/11 happened, dog, like, like what? Nobody prepped you for that. I bet you half of y'all still ain't have trauma sessions for that. Whole failure of a system, but we're talking about creators today. When you're trying to catch the attention of everybody who's scrolling, you don't have time to be this in depth. You don't have time to be this deep. You don't have time for them to give a fuck about what you really, really want to say. You got to get that point across quick to hook them in. So you have no choice but to sometimes abandon those genuine beliefs for content that garners faster engagement or trends. I gotta hop on that 1 second reel to get them I got 1 million views just by looping this 1 second audio. What can you do in 1 second that makes anybody feel like that out of body experience? If you dominate the world with that, regardless of, there's still intellectuals, there's still people who check it out, there's still thousands, if not millions of people who watch streams, there's still millions of people who watch Moist Critical. Like, think about it. What are we talking about here? You're forced to become a sniper wolf. You want that engagement, you want those clicks, anger people. Rage bait works great. Say things you don't believe. Say things that are controversial. It's the dominating, not even, that's the dominating religion of the internet right now. And was it always this way? Many will argue no. Some will argue it was just a matter of time. That's a funny thing. Time. We can ground ourselves in different periods of time with that all the access we've ever wanted right in front of us. It's so easy to load up an emulator and play N64 games again, but it don't feel the same as when it was out and it was a system and it was a console. Plus, you got jobs. I ain't inviting 4 people over to my house to see if my multi tap inside my PC works, and then we can configure it and play. Yo, we could do that shit online, bro. They got an online version just right there. You go hamachi that shit. Connect us all to the same IP. You go hamachi that shit. So if the physical, the tangible, can be replicated and therefore the feeling of it is diminished, maybe we could use nostalgia for a grounding force for other things. The audiences can start to pull from their nostalgic roots and say, I remember what type of things I used to watch when I was younger, and I remember exactly how that would feel. Not how much I enjoyed it, but how much it dominated areas of my life. I always go back to Guns the Duel. Oh, that was such a great game. S4 League, such a great game. Sorry to say, but every Call of Duty since like 2013 15 looks insane. Battlefield looks insane. I got 4K mods on GTA. The access to it, the ease of it, the learning of it, dilutes the experience you used to have when you would gain something new. Technological advances were kind of forced upon you from the PS1 to the PS2 to the PS3 type of style of living. That music you listen to, providing that emotional refuge, less about the comforting memories and simpler times, but why does a solution to this clearly aggressive problem need to be so complicated? That childlike wonder of why don't people just be nicer to each other is effectively where we are today with most conversations. And there's no frame of reference. Why are you acting like this? Why are you treating me like this? Why are you even talking about this? But no, we're going to sit there and debate each other for 3 hours on the merits of why what you said might be a little bit bad. That's between content creators. The audiences recognize it because they're out of their comfort zone. The person being the aggressor doesn't recognize it because they're out of their comfort zone. So we're all out of our comfort zones with no grounding. That sounds like a powder keg for a lot of bad people to really gain a lot of power very quickly. And to reconnect back, the way nostalgic media helps us reconnect those paths within ourselves that get lost in the rush of constant content consumption. All the levels in which you have to dive down to find a dude or find a person. I always say dude because it's just, come on, dude. But if you find a person that really lays it out for you, whether it's a TV show review you like, whether it's a video game you've always wanted to play, you can't wait for that dude's reaction. You're waiting for the next Corey Kenshin video to drop. You're waiting for something. You're waiting to feel something. You're waiting for something to happen. And you don't know what that happening will be, but you trust that it'll be enough to make you feel like it's a good thing that you're doing. And that constant content consumption has no root in it because it is brand new. You might say, oh, I was on YouTube for hours a day, but you was watching them. You was watching anime in 3 parts. Let's get it real. You had school. Now you make your own schedule, but you don't really make your own schedule because whatever job you have probably makes the schedule for you. If you're a freelancer, that schedule is probably also made by you, and you probably want more money, so you probably work more hours. I've got time to catch up on things. Do you? Because I could swear we used to be one of them. We used to be that group. Oh, we got to get there at 8 p.m. for the debut of. I'll catch it later. It'll be on YouTube sometime. So the search for authentic content gets lost. And you know people crave it. You crave those sincere, authentic connections because that's what all of these conversations that we end up having on the internet all come down to. Whether it's engagement bait, rage bait, click bait, all the baits, that's bait. All that. All that comes at a cost to both the audience and their desire for more than surface level entertainment. But they don't got the time to look through it. They don't got the emotional fortitude to look through it because they're the general public. Sure, there are niche communities with very, very small audiences that get deep into content like this. But that's not mass appealing because the mass appeal can't be denied nor ignored. Yet people keep asking for more. It takes something that I wish more creators did, and that would be more open-hearted. Don't tell me about all this, oh, I believe this, and that's it. Nah, what happened to you, dog? Like, I'm not here to be a therapist, but like, you're missing vital pieces to this story, and this conclusion you've reached cannot be seated in just mere fact, or cannot be just seated in and I heard it once and I agree. Got to be more to it than that. And I wish we could strike a better balance between what the audience wants and just staying in your lane, being genuine. I don't know about this, so that's the end of my emotional development into that conversation. There are plenty of creators who I know personally who have found success by staying authentic, even when it didn't align with the trends. So it's not like this is an unknown epitaph that's never been spoken. It's just a point of reiteration. That open heartedness in the content world could create a very direct line to help people understand if I got the most fucked up views in the world, I can't hide behind, it's just my opinion. Gotta stand on your own 2 feet. People with millions of followers, millions of viewers don't stand on their own 2 feet. And that makes people who do look odd, look aggressive, look strange, look weird, out of your comfort zone. Cut through the bullshit. What is going on here and why do you feel this way? Beyond the, oh, I think this, therefore that. Because every human does not want to be judged based on, I'm this, therefore I'm that. The engaged loyalty that you could possibly garner if everybody did this would be insaner than the numbers you already getting. But because we'll never know your positions and we'll never know how you truly feel about things, we'll forever be stuck in this conversation of why are you like this and what can we do to stop you being like this? There are plenty of communities that are centered around positivity, support, and genuine connection, and they also won't see the pearly gates of fame and stability because you gotta risk everything, you gotta feel everything, you gotta know everything. And if you don't know something, then you're yesterday's news. To rewrap all of this around, the theme of saving lives is about emotional and mental well being. Naturally, sadly enough, you got a class of children again. You chose this life, you chose this position. You wanted to make it on YouTube. I'm gonna make it on YouTube. I mean, 100,000. Welcome to now having eyes on you that judge you for everything that you do. I'm not asking you to be a fucking saint, but there's no way that you have that much hate in your heart with that big an audience. Hell, there's no way you have that much hate in your heart with 3 people watching you. I could never understand it. Why come on here and be that type of person? Does it garner you more money? Do people look at you the same in the street? Do your friends recognize you? Do you still have those emotional connections outside of the internet? Or are you just waiting for that beautiful big echo chamber of yours, which I'll bring up in another piece? I think we've been using the word echo chamber terribly wrong. Creating and consuming meaningful content can be a form of self-care. I love it when certain streamers say, hey guys, remember to take your meds. People go, oh, that's so funny. Come on, we're online. We're connected somehow to this community. We found this person through some media outlet, through some word of mouth. Come on. I think that there is not enough of a stressed importance on grounding yourself in media that makes you actually grow as a person and provides emotional depth and a sense of purpose. Like, you don't have to make it your entire brand, but you can always open that door. And I feel like we're afraid to open that door because if we make a mistake there, that's a personal attack. Maybe if you made your whole thing about that, nobody would have an ability to attack you. I remember one time there was an internet argument and some dude started crying in the middle of it because I think like his daughter was getting married or college or some weird shit. and it was used against him as, oh, you was crying, and everybody was like, how dare you take a man's picture of him showing and expressing happiness and turn it into something that's not about masculine, blah blah blah. And I was like, that's crazy too, because like that's the same guy who told me that if a cop pointed a gun at me, all I'd have to do is tell him by name and everything would be all right. It's like, I see where you're both coming from, but like the fact that we've even entered into this realm of conversation kind of just makes you both pieces of shit. Would you have this conversation with me over a blunt? I'm not smoking with you. We not passing you that L. We not passing you that L. In conclusion, I'd like to encourage both creators and audiences alike to reflect on the content they produce and consume. And we all call everything content, but let's call it what it really is: art. Art. Art is the focal center of all of this. And even if nobody sees it, you never know who's watching. Remember how Tyler, the creator, found most of the people he worked with, to be honest with you? This got 6 views on YouTube. This is popping. Come out. Maybe it's not for you to be the popular kid at school again. Maybe there isn't that English teacher that understands you so well and wants to save the kids from a life of hood and drama. But while quick consumption can feel good in the moment, you're going to have to answer to something. Something's going to make you jump. And right when you feel that lurch in your stomach and your heart go, everything comes into play. You blurt out a word and you're like, why did I say yeet out loud? Here's my homework for you for the end, since I am also a teacher. We're all teachers. Find a piece of content out there that makes you feel more connected, more grounded, and more open hearted, and then bring it back. Share it with the community. Drop it in a post. Comment on the post screens. A lot is going on over there. I'll be trying to post more, but it's hard because it's a weird. It feel weird, it's a little weird. But if y'all like the community tab post, we'll keep that shit going. And remember, this isn't about quote unquote making better content. This is about our responsibilities as the new creators, the new wave, the new people who want to do something. And remember, you might make a piece of art that only gets 2 views, that only gets 10 likes. And one of those likes could be somebody whose life you just saved. And that's how to save a life. I'm the Paradigm Shift. I'll see you in the next one.